Fear is one of the quietest chains that can enter the human heart. People may hurt you. They may abandon you. They may turn against you. But never forget this. If the entire world gathered together to help you, they couldn't give you anything beyond what God has already written for you. And if the entire world gathered together to harm you, they couldn't touch you with anything God hasn't allowed. So why are you afraid? Your life isn't controlled by people. It's controlled by God. At some point in life, every person struggles with fear. Fear of the future. Fear of loss. Fear of failure. Fear of being alone. Sometimes that fear keeps us awake at night. Sometimes it steals our peace. Sometimes it makes us feel weak without anyone noticing. But God didn't create you to live imprisoned by fear. He created you to live with faith, trust, and peace. Because God doesn't want your heart chained by fear. He wants it strengthened by faith. People fear many things: poverty, illness, betrayal, failure, death. But none of those things have power on their own. Everything exists under God's permission. And that's why God constantly teaches us one thing: trust Him more than you fear the world. Because when you truly rely on God, the threats around you begin losing their power. Fear weakens the soul, but trust in God gives strength to the heart. Satan always tries to fill the human heart with fear. Fear weakens prayer. Fear destroys courage. Fear distances people from worship. But a heart that stays connected to God will never fully surrender to fear. Because no power on earth can overcome someone protected by God. Fear becomes a burden. But surrender to God brings peace. And today, we're going to discover something powerful together. God never asked you to live in fear. He asked you to trust Him. Chapter 1. Trust in God protects you more than fear ever could. Life is full of uncertainty. Sometimes it's the fear of the future. Sometimes it's people's opinions. Sometimes it's the size of the problem standing in front of us. And in moments like these, the heart becomes heavy. Dark thoughts take over the mind. But this is exactly where God teaches us an incredible truth. Fear doesn't protect you. Trust in God does. Because fear traps people inside invisible prisons. What if I fail? What if I lose everything? What if things never get better? These thoughts slowly chain the soul. But faith breaks those chains. The person who trusts God understands something powerful. If God wills it, doors no one can close will open. And if God doesn't will it, nothing can force it to happen. This awareness gives a person incredible peace. Look at the struggles people face every day. Financial hardship, illness, loss, stress, conflict. If you try carrying all of it alone, fear will consume you. But when you do your best, trust God, and leave the outcome to Him, peace begins entering your heart. Because God never abandons His servants. The birds leave their nests hungry every morning. Yet they return full every evening. They fly. They search. They make effort. But God is the one who provides. Faith works the same way. You work. You strive. You take action. But your heart depends on God, not on circumstances. Never forget this. Fear pulls you downward. Trust in God lifts you higher. Fear shrinks the heart. Faith expands it. And a heart that truly trusts God cannot be defeated by darkness. Chapter 2. Fear is one of the greatest weapons used against the human soul. Most people think fear is just an emotion. But fear is often the very thing that stops people from becoming who they were meant to be. Fear whispers, "What if you fail? What if people reject you? What if everything falls apart?" And little by little, fear steals courage, peace, and hope. It weakens prayer. It weakens faith. It weakens the soul. But here's the truth. Fear grows wherever trust in God becomes weak. Because Satan wants people distracted, hopeless, and spiritually exhausted. But someone who truly trusts God understands this. No fear is greater than God's power. No problem is greater than God's control. No darkness is greater than God's light. That's why faith gives people courage even during difficult seasons. Not because life becomes easy, but because they know God remains with them. Chapter 3. Everything belongs to God, including you. Most fears come from the fear of losing something. People fear losing money, losing health, losing relationships, losing control. But here's what many forget. Nothing truly belongs to us. Everything belongs to God. Your life, your loved ones, your future, even your next breath. All of it is a trust from Him. And once you understand that, fear begins losing its grip on your heart. Because the one who gave everything is also the one who protects everything. People sometimes believe other humans hold power over them. But no person has independent power. Everything happens only through God's permission. And this realization changes the heart completely. Because when you know God is your protector, you stop fearing people. You stop fearing the future. You stop feeling abandoned. Even when everyone leaves, God remains. He sees you. He hears you. He knows your pain. And He has never forgotten you. Chapter 4. Your destiny is shaped by faith, not fear. Many people spend their lives terrified of tomorrow. What if I fail? What if I lose everything? What if life gets worse? But fear has never changed destiny. God already knows your future. And what He has written for you cannot miss you. If God opens a door, no one can close it. And if God closes a door, no one can force it open. Knowing this brings peace to the soul. Fear only delays your life. Faith moves you forward. Fear makes people hesitate. Faith gives people courage. Imagine walking through darkness carrying a powerful light. The darkness still exists, but it no longer controls you. Faith is that light. And when you walk with God, fear slowly loses its power over you. Chapter 5. Even the things you fear are under God's control. One of the greatest mistakes people make is believing their fears exist outside of God's power. But everything, even the things frightening you, exist under His command. Illness, loss, enemies, hardship, uncertainty. None of them move without God's permission. Sometimes people exaggerate the power of their fears. They make problems appear larger than God in their minds. But nothing is greater than God. Nothing. Even the things terrifying you right now remain completely under His control. And once you truly understand this, peace begins entering your heart. Because you realize No danger has independent power over you. God is still greater. Always. Chapter 6. When God fills the heart, fear loses its place. The heart is where fear grows the fastest. But it's also where peace grows when God is present. A heart disconnected from God becomes consumed by worry. But a heart connected to God becomes strong. Because when your heart is filled with faith, fear no longer controls your life. People search for security in money, status, relationships, or success. But real peace doesn't come from those things. Real peace comes from knowing God is with you. People leave. Money disappears. Life changes. But God remains. And when you truly understand that, your heart becomes unshakable. Chapter 7. Fear makes people smaller. Trust in God makes people stronger. Fear weakens the soul. It destroys confidence. It steals peace. It stops people from moving forward. But trust in God changes a person completely. It gives strength. It gives courage. It gives peace. Because someone who trusts God no longer depends only on themselves. They know, I may be weak, but God is strong. And that truth changes everything. Fear chains people. Faith frees them. Fear makes people feel trapped. Faith reminds them they're never alone. That's why someone who truly trusts God can still stand strong even during life's darkest moments. Because they know God is still in control. And His plan is always greater than their fear. So remember this today. Fear may speak loudly, but God's power is greater. Fear may shake your heart, but faith can steady it again. Fear may try to imprison you, but trust in God will set you free. And never forget, the person who truly trusts God never truly loses. And if this message touched your heart, share it with someone who may need this reminder today.